we are going to study about the digestive system. Earlier, अगर आप लोगों को याद हो जब आप लोग ऑनलाइन थे तो मैंने आप लोगों को बताया था digestive system के बारे में कि but the thing is about the definition of digestive system and then the agenda and purpose behind the digestive system, why we need it, because whatever we are getting, whatever we are eating, those stuff is made up of big chunks, big molecules, and those molecules are like useless for our body. We cannot assimilate, we cannot use those big molecules like proteins, they are fats, and they are carbohydrates. We have to break down all those molecules into simpler ones if we want to consume them. So our body is supplied with that system which is designed in such a way to efficiently not only to break down the food physically, mechanically, but also to break down the food chemically as well. So it not only break down big things into simpler ones, but also break down the big molecules into the simple molecule, and that is called as the chemical digestion. The process of digestion has different organs. The first organ is the mouth. And usually we believe that the mouth is something from where the process of digestion starts. But I can tell you one interesting thing. The process of digestion actually starts even before that time when we start eating the food. Your body, your digestive system will start preparing itself even before that time. Digestion starts, the process of digestion starts when we smell the food. That's the first signal. Something is, or Tom and Jerry होता है ना, ऐसे करके जा रहा होता है वो smell के पीछे हवा में एक wave जारी होती है smell. Smell, first thing, your body, your brain understands something will going to be eaten. कुछ खाएंगे हम. The second thing, when you actually see the food, that's the second confirmation. सूंघने से जरूरी तो नहीं ना वो आपके घर में आपके घर से ही आ रही हो smell, साथ वालों के घर से भी आ सकती है. The next thing, when you see the food in front of you, that means I am about to have it. So your body will start preparing yourself. What is meant by your body start preparing for it? Actually, your body needs to calculate how much work it will have to do in order to digest the amount of food available out there. ये बहुत important बात है. हमारे stomach में different enzymes पैदा होते हैं. हमारे stomach में produce different enzymes as well as a very strong acid called hydrochloric acid. The job of the hydrochloric acid is to activate the enzymes in the stomach which can digest the meat. It can digest the meat in the stomach. Very strong. But the amount of ACL, the amount of acid produced within the stomach depends on the amount of food you are taking and the nature of food you are taking. यहाँ पर आपको एक secret बताता हूँ. खतरनाक secret. खतरनाक secret. Weird secret. That will help you to understand how powerful you are. Our food is made up of different types of components: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. There are a lot of other things, but these are the primary things: carbohydrates, fats, and number 3 are the proteins. The ACL and the enzymes, the enzyme and the mixture which is produced within the stomach is called as pepsin. So the pepsin needs HCl, and HCl and pepsin together digest the proteins. Their job is to consume the meat, and consuming meat is not an easy task. I mean, it requires a lot of strong action. And if you can take that HCl out of your stomach and place onto your hand will be burned out. It will be burned. It's not strong acid of the stomach. But anyway, so the thing which I want to tell you is that how much HCl and pepsin will be produced in your body, that depends on the amount of food as well as the nature of the food. When you eat a certain food, with the help of the chemical information present in the food, your brain calculates that what is the nature of that food. It's a very difficult calculation, I can tell you. If you are eating cotton candy is a lacha. If you are eating cotton candy is made up of sugar, purely carbohydrates. Am I right? If I ask you, do the stomach needs to prepare itself? The job of the stomach is to consume proteins. And cotton candy is purely made up of carbohydrate. So that means the stomach will not require to prepare itself because the food does not contain any protein. Are you getting the point? That is why you never require to engulf the cotton candy, because it can be digested with the help of the things present in the mouth. But if you are eating the meat, chicken, mutton, beef, or kebabs or something like that, your body already calculates when it started traveling into your mouth that this food is made up of proteins. So it will start preparing the pepsin and the HCl. It's not about the aroma, it's about the chemical nature. Yeah, of course. Our body already, our brain already noticed all these things during our lifetime. That this thing means carbohydrate, this thing means protein. That is the secret which I want to tell you. Just imagine if you are eating purely meat, chicken. Now what will happen? Your stomach will start preparing the pepsin, start producing the pepsin and the HCl according to the amount of the protein present in the food. रोजे से पहले क्या होता है? इफ्तारी से पहले. ये शादी वाले दिन क्या होता है? अपनी नहीं, किसी और की. Before the food, you know, smell आ रही होती है. You are talking and waiting. यार शादी में कब खाना खुलेगा? You know, खाने में क्या क्या है? अच्छा ये है, अच्छा ये है. मैं पहले ये खाऊंगा, फिर ये खाऊंगी, उसके बाद मैं इधर जाऊंगा, फिर मैं ये खाऊंगा, फिर मैं ये खाऊंगा. You are thinking in this way. चाहे आप दूसरों के सामने तो sophisticated ही होंगे ना यार कि you don't need food anymore. You are fine. इस तरह की food हमारे घर में रोज पकती है. I don't care. लेकिन somehow you are making plans in your mind about the food. That means you are thinking about the food a lot. So you are misguiding your stomach. Your brain will then in your stomach instruct the stomach that a lot of protein and food will about to come. Get yourself ready. So your stomach will start producing a lot of pepsins and a lot of HCl. Now, असल में क्या होता है? You will never be able to eat that much. You will never be able to eat that much. जितना आपने सोचा होता है. So what happened? आपका pepsin and the HCl, these two things were like क्या कहते हैं? Were stay in excess. बाकी बच जाते हैं. इसको बोलते हैं acid की amount stomach में रह जाती है, and that what we call as acidity. This is what you actually feel after iftari or after like the meal in the when you're thinking about the food a lot and you're not taking the food that much. So moral of the story here, before I tell you the secret, okay, our body can calculate the nature of the food, whether it is made up of proteins, or it is made up of carbohydrates, or it is made up of fats. हमें तो पता है ना, हमने तो सुना हुआ है कार्बोहाइड्रेट, फैट्स, प्रोटीन्स, हमने तो सुना हुआ है. Somehow, हमें तो पता है. Think about an illiterate person, जिसने अपनी जिंदगी में कभी एक लफ्ज नहीं पढ़ा, जिसने कभी जिंदगी में कोई अल्फाबेट नहीं पढ़ा, जिसने को लिखना पढ़ना बिल्कुल नहीं आता, जिसकी जाने बुला के कार्बोहाइड्रेट, फैट्स और प्रोटीन्स क्या चीज होती है, जब वो भी खाएगा प्रोटीन तो उसका स्टमक भी HCl और पेप्सिन प्रोड्यूस करेगा. जब वो कॉटन कैंडी खाएगा तो उसका स्टमक HCl प्रोड्यूस नहीं करेगा. अंडरस्टैंड कर लेगा कि ये कार्बोहाइड्रेट है, although he has no idea carbohydrates क्या होते हैं. That is exact the secret thing which I want to tell you, that the knowledge is embedded in your mind. Your brain contains all those information, all those sorts of knowledge. उस अनपढ़ बंदे में और आप में पता क्या फर्क है? You guys have explored that part of your brain. You guys have explored that part of your brain and you started become aware of that fact. Those people, जिन्होंने जिंदगी में कभी नहीं पढ़ा, although they have the right information in their mind, but they never able to explore those areas. So they are unaware about that same fact. So the knowledge is there. It's all about how much we can explore. This also means that if you are studying one subject, that does not mean you are not eligible to study another subject. If you are like in business studies, that does not mean you will never be able to study psychology. If you are studying psychology, that does not mean that you will never be able to study history or other things. It's all about exploring your mind. The more you explore your mind, the more you will be able to aware of the information, the knowledge out there. So that is the thing you should understand from the concept of digestion. So it starts by smelling, then by looking at the food, and then the third thing, by tasting. So the taste of also helps you to figure out, smell helps you whether you should eat it or not. जो चीजें healthy नहीं होती, unhealthy होती है, कितनी मजे की बात है. जो चीजें unhealthy होती है, खराब होती है, they have a different smell, which helps you to यार ये दही खराब हो गया है, ये fruit अच्छा नहीं है, ये सालन खराब हो गया है, इसको नहीं खाना है. It helps you to understand you are not supposed to eat that thing. Similarly, the taste. अब वो taste देके granted लेते हैं, but that's something which helps you to define the quality of the food. So looking at the food, smelling the food, tasting the food, everything is a quality control check for your digestive system. So whatever the stuff you will going to put into your mouth from here on, that should be like proper and adequate. Okay, I'll going to, so जो भी चीज हम digestive system में enter करेंगे, that is supposed to be well, estimated, calculated, and also should pass through a serious high quality check. Everything is fine. Even then, even after that, आप note किए जब आप chew कर रहे होते हैं, आप कर रहे होते हैं, you are actually sensing something is not something bad is should not be there. वो जो चावलों में थोड़ा सा आ जाता है, घर में एक बंदा होता है, उसके चावलों में तो हमेशा ही आता है, कोई ना कोई ऐसे बदनसीब होता है, उसके चावलों में कंकर जरूर आता है. तो somebody is always there. आप वो जब chew कर रहे होते हैं, you are actually feeling कि कोई हड्डी तो नहीं है, कोई ऐसी चीज तो नहीं है, ताकि you should not send that stuff to the next part of the digestion. This is very important. Another function of the mouth is mechanical digestion. Physically तोड़ना food को. ये जो हम chew करते हैं ना, ये एक जबरदस्त किस्म की synchronous activity है, जो हमारे cheek muscles, हमारी tongue और हमारी teeth मिलकर करते हैं. ऐसे फूड को लपेट के उठा के इन टीथ के ऊपर रखते हैं, फिर इधर से उठा के घुमा के इसके ऊपर रखते हैं, फिर और फिर इधर से उठा के. आपको भी देखो यार, हम इन चीजों को कितना ग्रांटेड लेते हैं. नेचर कितना यानी कि म्यूजिकल तरीके से कैलकुलेट करती है इन सब चीजों के. दांतों के दबने से पहले, बिफोर यू एक्चुअली च्यू, द फूड शुड बी प्लेस्ड देयर, एंड दैट इज हाउ वी एक्चुअली मैनेज टू च्यू द फूड. द अदर थिंग in the mouth is the salivary glands. The job of the salivary glands to produce saliva. There are multiple salivary glands present in our mouth. दो जो होते हैं ना, वो आगे जुबान के नीचे होते हैं, कुछ पीछे होते हैं. This salivary, their job is to produce saliva. The saliva is a solution produced by the salivary gland, and usually we start producing saliva when we think about the food or when we talk about the food, like I am talking about the food at this time. जैसे मुंह में पानी आ जाना, that is because of the saliva. The saliva contains a lot of interesting things. One of the things the saliva contains is the enzyme called amylase. The amylase enzyme present in the salivary juice, the material produced by the salivary gland, the amylase present in the saliva is responsible for the digestion or for the breakdown of carbohydrate. So the digestion of carbohydrate actually started from the mouth. वो यहीं से शुरू हो जाती है. And saliva is good enough to digest the carbohydrate. That is why cotton candy जो है ना, उसको हमें आगे digest करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, because it is only made up of carbohydrate and amylase is good enough to digest the cotton. वहीं पे एकदम से गायब हो जाती है हमसे, क्योंकि वो chemically breakdown हो जाती है. And after that, after the action of mouth, we convert those balls, the food, into like a ball-like structure. These balls are called as bolus. उसे बोलते हैं food bowl भी कहते हैं, food ball भी कहते हैं, bolus भी कहते हैं. This is like we convert that food together with the saliva. We chew them together, try to break it as much as possible physically, and then convert them into a ball-like structure, and then push that ball-like structure into the next part of the digestive system. And what is the next part of the digestive system? That is the pharynx. And I have talked about the pharynx earlier, but just for an understanding, you should know that pharynx is not here. Just for our understanding, you should know that the Pharynx has two pipes here. One of the pipe is actually entering into the lungs, is for respiration. The other pipe is going into the food pipe, entering into the stomach. So there are two openings here in our throat. Two openings here. Two things are actually started from here. One is taking the air into our lungs. The other is taking the food from the mouth towards the stomach. So there is a cap over there. अगर आपको respiratory system वाला याद हो, that is called as epiglottis. That cap actually covers the trachea. So no food should enter into the trachea or enter into the lungs. And that prevents the food and water to enter into the respiratory system. So it should slide into the next part of our digestive system, that is called as our food pipe. Food pipe को esophagus भी बोलते हैं. When food enters into the esophagus, it runs very fast. आप उल्टे खड़े होकर भी खाना खाएंगे ना, food will run from the mouth towards the stomach because of the wave-like motion of the walls of the esophagus. That wave-like motion is called as peristalsis, and that motion is responsible for the movement of food throughout the digestive system. So once the food is there, it triggers the peristaltic movement, and that peristaltic movement pushes the food to drop into the stomach, and then the story of the stomach will start from there on. Okay, I will tell you about all these things later. Peristalsis. Peristalsis is the wave-like movement of the walls of the food pipe, which pushes the food to move in one direction. ये ना मैं आपको नए YouTube चैनल के ऊपर ना अगर आप डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम सर्च करेंगे तो लास्ट ईयर की जो है वो डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम की वीडियो ऑलरेडी पड़ी हुई है, तो आप वो पहले भी पढ़ सकते हैं अगर आप चाहें. उसमें ना मैंने ड्रॉ करके दिखाया हुआ है. I should draw here as well, but you can browse and you can see how actually it happens. ये ब्रेन से कंट्रोल होती है बड़ा स्पेशल तरीके से. और जब हमें नोजिया होता है ना, गंदी बातें कर रहे हैं, जो नोजिया होता है तो तब क्या होता है आप तब यही पेरिस्टाल्टिक मूवमेंट रिवर्स हो जाती है. तो जितनी स्पीड से हम फूड को नीचे फेंकते हैं उतनी ही स्पीड से फूड जो है नीचे से बाहर आती है. दैट वुड बी कॉल्ड एज वॉमिटिंग. और एक मेरा वीडियो है जिसमें मोशन सिकनेस क्यों होती है. अगर आप लोगों में किसको होती है मोशन सिकनेस, एक दो, ये पूरी ट्रिप की जो है ना वो टेंशन है दोनों. मुझे भी होती है, मुझे एज लॉन्ग एज आई एम नॉट ड्राइविंग. पैसेंजर सीट पे होती है, इधर नहीं होती, पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो, बट आई कैन टेल यू द रीजन व्हाई. मोशन सिकनेस वाली वीडियो है, वो जरूर देखिएगा कि ये क्यों होती है. सो यू विल केम टू नो कि हमारा ब्रेन जो है वो कैसे कंफ्यूज होता है जब हम ट्रेवल करते हैं. तो बहरहाल बॉटम लाइन ये है, उसमें मैं अभी टाइम खत्म हो रहा है, एंड वाली बात बताता हूँ कि हमारा ब्रेन ये कन्विंस हो जाता है कि हमारे स्टमक में जहर है. कितनी अजीब बात है मोशन सिकनेस से कि गड़बड़ है, कोई हमारे स्टमक में कोई पॉइजनस स्टफ है. तो ब्रेन का वो पार्ट जो पॉइजनस सिचुएशन को मैनेज करता है वो इनिशियली एंटी पेरिस्टाल्सिस ट्रिगर करता है. जो मूवमेंट है वेव लाइक मूवमेंट वो रिवर्स होती है, एंड व्हाटएवर वी हैव इन द स्टमक इज एक्चुअली एक्सपेल्ड. तो ब्रेन अपनी तरफ से लाइफ सेविंग एक्टिविटी कर रहा होता है. और ये हम ये जो तीन लोग हैं ना, ये आप हमारे दुख दर्द की समझते हैं. आपने वैसे नोट किया होगा, ये बड़े हंस के ना ट्रिप स्टार्ट करते हैं, सारे बड़े खुश होकर बैठते हैं, लेकिन आहिस्ता 10-15 मिनट के बाद ना आहिस्ता से बातें करना कम कर देते हैं. पहले रिस्पॉन्ड करना कम कर देते हैं. सब लोग हंस रहे होंगे, फिर चुप हो जाते हैं, फिर ग्रेजुअली सर नीचे करके बैठ जाते हैं, फिर इधर करके बैठ जाते हैं, फिर उसके बाद तो बस कोई हाल नहीं इनका. मैन दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द डिफरेंस. वो आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको आइडिया हो जाएगा कि वो कैसे